Hey guys, how's it going? This is going to be a quick one. We are replicating a piece of sheet metal. This is just a piece of flat wrap sheet metal. Got the dogs running around crazy here. It's just a piece of flat wrap sheet metal. It's actually off of a gear leg attached on a Cessna 140. 50 thousandths aluminum, 2D curving, so it's pretty easy to do. This particular part was had the edges broken here, kind of edges chamfered over. So we'll replicate that also. So this is how you do it. This is how I do it, whether it's a small piece of metal or a big piece of metal. First thing we have to do is we're going to flatten this thing out. And really, I'm just going to take this on the floor, flatten it out. It's been, in fact, I'll bring it up close. You can see the gear when it was, this thing had a little cross-country expedition. So it jiggled the landing gear, lift strut attached and all that. So that was all repaired on a prior job. However, they never fixed this. So we're going to fix that. The problem with this particular aircraft is there was a crack in the door, and we put the steel STC mod in there to fix that. So I'll put a link to that thing in there, also describe that. So that's what's going on. We're just going to replicate this piece. We took this off to do the sheet metal work, and looking at it, it really is in such crap shape. We're going to replicate it and put it on with all brand new metal, and then we'll acid etch iodine and prime the inside of it, and then this will end up getting detail painted. Once everything's done, we'll paint the when we do the paint touch up on the outside of the aircraft. So here we go. First things first. Basically, I'm going to take this on the floor, beat the hell out of it with a hammer, and get all these edges down and flat, and then we will go from there. What I'm doing is I'm flattening all of the rivets where they were originally shot. They're going to be puckered down a bit. We just want to get this piece of metal all the way flat. Nothing fancier than a mallet. I use a harder plastic mallet. It'll move the metal, and this is looking pretty good. This metal is not supposed to be curved like this. It is bowed from the mishap. We've got this hole here, lip strut hole, all back round again. Looks good. This is the way it's supposed to be. And this particular piece has it's got crack here, crack here, crack here, crack over here. So whoever did the sheet metal work before didn't do a good job. Okay, so now what we're going to do is replicate it onto this piece of metal. What we did here is I just took some paint. I ended up having some silver. Doesn't matter what color. Just enough so we can scratch a pencil on it. Drag a line. It's just the metal when it's I haven't taken the blue stuff off, but when it's nice and shiny, it won't leave a mark. It's hard to mark with. So I'll give it just a little dusting, just enough to drag a pencil lead. It doesn't matter what color. I've used black, I've used silver, I've used white, whatever you got on the shelf you're trying to get rid of. So that's what we're doing here. Now what I'm going to do here is, because this thing is bowed up, I think what I'm going to do is I've got this cool clamp I used for another project. Let's see if it's going to work for us. Let's see if it's going to work for us. That work. Dogs are going crazy outside. Now what I can do is I can line this up with the edge of the metal. One of these edges to kind of save my cutting. It's just being lazy. Okay, everything clamped down nice and tight. So what we're going to do now is just drill number 40 holes in all this. I was about ready to repaper this table, so this is best time is going. I'm using number 40 Clecos, silver Clecos. I don't have a fancy rack. I don't have a fancy deal to stick this into. I have a fancy can, which works great. You grab them out, use them, take them off, put them back in. You don't have to put them back on any kind of fancy rack or anything like that. It's kind of what I've been doing for a really long time. It works. Time is money, so that's what's going on there. And coffee cans. Actually, I guess it's kind of hard to get coffee cans nowadays. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill all the holes here. once I get all these holes done, then I'll lift this thing up, take it off, and start marking some stuff. So here we go, just drilling holes. Okay, so I've got it basically clecoed down, drilled down, whatever. I've got the perimeter done. Now, if this was a big piece of sheet metal, like I'm doing a wing skin or I'm doing a fuselage skin, I would start in the middle and then work my way out as far as drilling and clecoing down. Now, if you notice everything's clecoed, so I've got the two pieces of metal clecoed. Well, it's actually kind of clecoed to the table too, because I just drilled into the table. I've told you guys this before on prior ones. I use a wooden table, I drill through it, it's okay. At the end of the year, I'll end up getting a new piece of plywood, and we just start over again. But I can drill into this wood all day long, and my drill bits don't get torn up. They don't get hurt or whatnot. If I go into a metal table or something like that, I'm gonna dull it as soon as I touch that. So I always make sure I've got the sacrificial deal underneath. So now I'm gonna take my clamp off. This thing should be pretty well pinned to the table. There we go. So we've got pretty much all the stuff. We've got just a couple of holes to drill. We'll get those drilled and then we'll continue on. Okay, so we've got everything. We've got all the rivet holes drilled. We've just drilled them. These are going to be number 5 rivets, which would be a 21, but we've got them drilled to a number 40 right now, just a 3/32. So that's where we are. Now, one of the things I didn't do, which I normally do, and I'm going to do it anyway, is I'll tape over the holes I don't want to drill. So the holes here on this square cutout are for the little trim plate that goes over. That's held in with a couple sheet metal screws, and Cessna just shags those screws, just shanks them into the core material, no nut plates or anything like that. There's 2 holes over here, so we're going to just make sure we don't drill those out, just putting those there. We've got all the rest of the holes done. The one thing we will do now is we're going to drill, I'll drill in the middle of the radiuses of the different holes here. And actually the first thing we're going to do, now that we know this thing is pinned to the earth, it's not going anywhere, we know what our outside or our shape needs to be. What I'm going to do is with a scratch awl, I don't need to do it with a pencil because I'm going to actually take it all the way to the line of the scratch awl. The reason I'm using a scratch awl is essentially the point has 0 width. So I'm going to go right up against the metal and drag a line, and then that way when I trim the metal I will take it right to that scratch edge, that mark, and that will go away. So we're getting all that done all the way around the piece of metal. And whether this is just a small trim piece, or pardon me, a small landing gear box section like this, or a large wing skin, I pretty much do the same thing. Because even if I scratch out here, I'm not going to tear anything up. So it's pretty good. I'll do the same there here. This is the lift strut hole. And then the landing gear hole proper. Reason for this kick out is this where your brake line goes. And actually, what we're going to do here is we're just going to chain drill these holes, chain drill them with hole saws. So I think you guys have seen me do that before. So we're just going to do that, nice and simple. It takes a little time, but you know what? It costs nothing to do it. So there we are, we're set. We've got the edges all. I'm going to do this one more time. Make sure I get all my edges done. And now I'm going to use this as kind of a guide template. So I'm going to go and put a drill a hole in the corner for my. I'm going to come in with a hole saw, and these will be the corner areas there that I will be trimming to. You'll see this in just a second. I'm using an electric drill only because it's easier for you guys. A lot of you folks may not have an air compressor. I normally use an air drill. It's faster, it's better, makes more noise, and you trip over a hose, but it is a heck of a lot faster. So, okay, going here. It's going to be about right. And one more over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to, I'm going to drill with a hole saw, and I'm also going to chain drill, leaving this in place. And what this is doing is this is guarding my base metal from getting scratched if I go zinging off or something like that. So I'm just using it as a guard. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I've got these, this is a Blair spot weld cutting kit. It's we've used them for years. It's a hole cutter, great hole cutter kit. The part number is, I assume it's still going, 13218, I think. They was originally designed for cutting spot welds, but we use these anytime we're cutting large holes in aluminum. You don't want to use a big twist drill, you just tear it up. So for drilling holes for fabrication like this, or if we're doing something on the neighborhood of, like I said, like a switch or something like that, it's really the best way to go. So this is kind of what we're going to do, and then we just kind of see what fits in here on these different radii. That'll work perfect there. We'll put the big one. Let's see, the big one will probably work perfect over here. That'll work good there. And then something about this big. Yeah, that should be about right on those. So here we go. We're going to drill some holes. Real simple. It's got an arbor, and these just screw on like the big guys. Very sharp. You're not going to wear these out real quick. This is my second set in several decades. Okay, so we're going to come in here. Go back in here. And they sometimes get stuck, so it's no problem. Just take off the piece of aluminum. And you're saying, well, gee, Bill, you're not using a different pair of pliers. Well, it's pliers I have, so that's what I use. And they work good enough. Same thing. So when you take out, those are all cut. I think I've got them cut. Okay, that one's done. That one's done. That one's done. That one's done. Good. Now we'll do the big ones. Put that in my box, put that in my box, put this one here. Okay. So that takes care of the radius in the corners. That gets us pretty dang close. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our number 40, and we're going to drill, basically chain drill. This is for a one-off type of thing. If you have a high-speed router, yes, you can do a high-speed router. But for what we're doing, we're just going to chain drill this. And take them out. Okay, so we've chain drilled all the way around. All I'm going to do is just take one of these arbors that's about the right size, and I'm just going to come around and chain drill with one of these. Let's see if this is going to work. A little bit smaller probably. There. Let's see what we have here. Maybe this one even. Yeah, that should work. Let's see what happens. And then I just come in here at an angle. Come on. We'll get that sorted out. Okay, so now we're ready to uncleco this. We have one big patch out. This one will come out here in just a sec. And we're ready to rough this thing out. So here it goes. We'll uncleco it. So you can see we've got the hole roughed out. We've got the edge perimeter scratched up real good. So we're just going to need to get this guy out a little bit. And boom, he's out. So now what I'm going to do is cleco it all back together again, and then use my drum file and my rotary drum file and take it as close to the line as I can. So cleco again, back on. And I'm going to start in the middle. Pin it down. Okay, we're all back clecoed again. So now what I'm going to do is use my drum file, and I just use a nice 1-inch drum file, and this will take pretty much everything down right to the line. So I'm going to take as much as I can with this, and then I've got a smaller round file that I will use and bring that down. So I'll empty this guy out, go digging for that, and yeah, then I've got another single cut file. These other files here, you'll find these double cutters. I'll kind of look at you up close. These double cuts are very coarse. They jump all over the place. They're very unstable as far as I'm concerned. I don't use them. I have some. If you notice, this one looks brand new because I never use it. The one that is my real go-to is a 1-inch drum file, single cut, 1/4 inch. And they, just like any other file, they get dull after a while. So great thing, great investment. You need to have one of these in your toolbox. Really, best file I use my all around. When I get to smaller radiuses, then I'll just start getting into smaller radius. Again, single cut files. So here we go. More, probably more fast action. Okay, we've got the holes rough file. Shouldn't say rough file. I would say about 95% with the machine. Now we're going to hand file it. Yes, hand file it, get everything smooth. So we'll be using smooth, flat mill files, and then also some round files too. Then I'll just go and shear this and whatnot. I will come in here. We'll go and put a take my hole saw and put a radius in here, so that when I can come in here and cut that with shears and clean that up. Same thing over here. I'll probably take some of this out. So here we go. More of the same. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to hand file these. Actually, I'm going to take this, cut this out. I can shear this edge. I can shear this edge, but then I will use the bandsaw and cut the rest of the holes. So off to the other shop. Okay, our shape is getting close. We've got to cut this. We'll cut this on the bandsaw. We'll cut this on the bandsaw also, and then that will get our edges, our exterior pretty well knocked out. We'll round the corners. These are pretty well set. We'll deburr those. We deburred the holes here. All the rivet pilot holes are all deburred already. Now we'll deburr this and go over and cut it on the bandsaw. Okay, now we're going to fine tune the edges, the corners, and that kind of stuff. Just use the belt sander because it's quick. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to put my ears on for this one. So I'll put some pretty music on. Okay, what this little sander will let us do is we're taking everything to that strike line. Remember that strike line I told you about? We were a couple millimeters off of that on some areas, but it lets us come right up to it and kiss it. And now that we've got it filed as far as the edge goes, we'll hand file it smooth for to get to our final production edge. So more hand filing. It'll deburr a little bit. Just make sure all the edges we've filed the inside edges, but we're making sure that it's all deburred. And we break all the edges. Now, I never used to use these years ago, but this is the best thing since sliced bread. I think I missed out on a lot. So it does what it needs to do. Cool. Okay, there we go. There's a piece of metal. Pretty much replicating our other piece. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to break the edges with our or forget what they call the tool, but we're going to do that, and then this will go to Aladyne and prime. I ended up doing three of the sides with a brake because this stuff is 50 thou and it is some hard stuff to encourage with a little doodah tool. I know some of you folks have the different kind of tools, kind of a round disc thing, and that doesn't really work when you have an area like this. There. Looks pretty good. I think that will clean up quite nicely. So anyway, here we go. We're ready to take our plastic off. And then this is going to go to Aladina Prime. So I'll be back here tomorrow morning probably real quick and show you what it looks like all finished up. But this is essentially a part ready to go onto the aircraft. These are parts that we cannot get. So as a result, we'll end up developing our own, and under 21.9 for the owner-operator, these parts can be fabricated. So that's what it looks like. Next time you see it, it should be yellow on the inside, and then we're going to be shooting this thing on. So see you later. Okay, guys, you can see that with the table full of tools and all that stuff, that's the problem with sheet metal stuff is end up using everything in the shop. But we've got our new part to us for this aircraft, all made up. This is the old one with tear holes and everything else, and this is the new one. So this has all been alodined, acid etched and alodined, and it will go to prime, and then this will be going on the aircraft tomorrow. So that's it. That's how you fabricate a small piece or large piece of skin, simple skin. If you guys want more of this kind of stuff, let me know. We've got some projects coming up that are going to be some big sheet metal things. If this is the kind of stuff you want us to do, let me know. And put some comments down below and kind of what you guys want. I know there's some folks out there that have some trepidation about their RV projects, but don't worry about it. You're going to get by. You're going to get through it. I think it's going to be just a little burp in the big cosmos, but you can finish those aircraft even if you have to hand fabricate, just like the early RVs. So anyway, that's it. Simple fabrication of a sheet metal skin. This is a small one, and there's nothing different from doing a big wing skin or fuselage skin. Same basic concept. So anyway, HangaRatz out. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Keep flying.